Hi, Design Arts. Today we're going to go over 4 other composition skills for you to work on for next week's photos. So let me go ahead and start to talk about them, and then I'll give you some examples of my own. First up is single point. And single point can provide interest to an otherwise plain photo. It's usually small in contrast with the rest of the scene. So if you can see in these top 2 images, the things surrounding the center point, the focus area, are very similar. The buildings going maybe up, coming up towards you in space, they all have that repetition. The lines of the ground on the one below it all are like diagonal, going in the same direction. So it creates a lot of contrast between what's going on from, like, let's call it the background, and what's going on from the subject you're focused on. There's also something called slightly off center, and basically you're just putting your subject not quite in the middle, very similar to the rule of thirds. This is kind of, if you really kind of played around with it, it would be really close to the rule of thirds, of placing something off, 2/3 over, 1/3 up to the top, something like that. Move on to the next one, triangles. So sometimes triangles actually are there, other times they are implied. So converging triangles, if you look at the top, if the lines extend far enough into the distance, they create a converging triangle. This is like perspective in art, things that look like they're fading away. And you can see the triangle there. And you can see all the lines that kind of converge on the second picture in that, what would be maybe like a subway station there, creating a triangle. There's also something called an implied triangle, and that is when you arrange things or you capture things that kind of lend your eye to becoming a triangle, if that makes sense. As we go here, a lot of times when you're posing portraits, people are kind of staggered. It's heavier on the bottom. There might be a taller person towards the back, but you can do that with food to make more of a pleasing arrangement of things. Focusing attention, somebody's looking, there's another kind of implied triangle, and using, 3 people. Again, the rule of thirds also kind of translates into art as the rule of 3. Things that are in odd numbers tend to be more pleasing to look at rather than in even numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to the next capture. Okay, the next capture card, we're going to be working with lines. So lines serve to create a photographic composition in 2 ways. They add repetition, tension, or emotion to the scene. They lead the viewer's eyes through the photograph, keeping their attention focused on the main subject. So lines can be obviously horizontal. Everything's kind of walking lined up side to side. They could be vertical, as you can see in rows of trees going back in the distance. Some type of architectural lines going vertically, or diagonal. Finally, this one, this is more hard to kind of see because they're jagged and irregular. It doesn't really follow any rule that way, and it might give you more of a sense of tension or unease in your photograph. There's also something called leading lines, and that's a technique where the viewer's attention is drawn to the lines that lead to your main subject. So obviously, if you have something back in the distance, it's composed. If you look at this first one, it's very symmetrical, but you have, trees on both sides. They all lead your eye back to your main subject, which is this building. Over here, curved lines that go back in the distance, leading you to whatever would be this entranceway. Or you could break the rule, something out of the frame. Leading lines that pull your eyes in multiple directions create tension. The competing directions for your eyes to follow make it hard to know where to look. So this is a little bit more uneasy of a feeling in a photograph, and that's kind of a technique artists would use just to kind of get their point across. So those are our 4 capture cards today that we're going to work with in composition. So let me go ahead and show you some of the examples. So here are some of the examples, same type of process that you went through before. We're going to have 4 slides to fill. Here's a single point examples. As you can see, the main subject being this caterpillar. Everything else is very much the same tone, the same type of lines, very faint, going in the direction of this caterpillar. Down here, single point would be your main focus is this tree, very vast open sky, very non-detailed kind of, I don't know, it looks like it's kind of in a swampy water area. Pretty simple. Basically, you're looking for stuff that's not distracting in the background. Okay, implied triangles. This is a little trickier. As you can see, I want you to kind of look at your pictures and see if you can find where things make a triangle. As you can see, when I draw it out, it's a little bit more apparent. If you have actual images that are in perspective that show you, a road going back in the distance, that would probably create your own real triangle for you. And let's see, just working with just lines, vertical, horizontal, diagonal, or irregular, jagged. As you can see, this was a wedding that I shot a while ago. The lines of these dresses all going in the same direction, the repetition there. The line that this group makes horizontally across the plane there. And then finally, leading lines. You should be able to see how this works. This one worked pretty interesting. A line here with the lighting, and also a line with the railing going back to this couple. Right here, all the lines basically point to this couple from top and bottom. So your task this week is to create images that demonstrate those 4 concepts. I'm going to give you a couple tips. Number 1, I don't want you to search the internet for images. I would rather you take your own pictures. So you're going to kind of go out and compose things yourself using these techniques. They don't have to be amazing, wonderful subjects. They can be just something that demonstrates the composition technique. I also will let you scroll back through, say you have hundreds of photos saved in your camera roll. It's also a good trick to kind of go back and look through all your old photographs and see if any of those would fit. You're looking for leading lines in your old photographs. You're looking for a single point type image. I'll let you use those too. So you can do a mix, whatever you prefer, as long as you're not stealing other images from the internet. I know you guys can all find this on the internet, but I want you to find it in your own work. If you need it in your own work, you can actually crop and adjust your photographs to make it work for yourself as well. If you have any questions, just reach out. Again, same type of deal. Fill a couple Google Slides with these, and I'll be in touch next week. Have a great week, you guys. Bye.